Hi, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours. I'm Emily, VP of Customer Success here at ProLine. Today, we're going to talk about subscriptions, one very powerful tool in ProLine used for recurring or repeat services. Whether you're running maintenance agreements, scheduled inspections, or any service that repeats on a regular basis, subscriptions automates the entire cycle from billing to calendar events and to payment collection. So by the end of this session, you'll know how to enable and set up subscriptions, configure them inside of a quote, and manage them once they're active, and handle the payments for the subscriptions, including what happens when a payment fails. So let's dive in. Why do subscriptions exist? Let's start with the problem. Many service businesses have customers who need the same work done on a regular schedule. So think about your roof maintenance plans, quarterly or annual checkups, just for example. Really good way to upsell on a roof replacement, recurring roof inspections or safety checks, and any service contract where the same customer needs you back on a predictable schedule. So without subscriptions, you're managing this manually, which means creating a new project or invoice for every cycle, and then scheduling events each time, chasing down those payments individually, and then repeating this process for every recurring customer. And subscriptions eliminates all of that. When a customer signs a quote with a subscription, ProLine will automatically create the invoice, schedule the calendar events, assign team members, and collect payments, all without lifting a finger. We're going to talk first about how to enable subscriptions. This feature is in beta, so let me share my screen with you. Just like the rest of our beta features, you're going to find this in our hamburger menu at the top left. Go down to Company Settings. You're going to choose New Features, which is at the bottom here. And I have this enabled already, so I don't have to turn it on. This is subscriptions. But this is where you would enable it if you did not have it enabled just yet. So let's talk first about how to actually create a subscription inside of a quote. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to, we can create subscriptions in two places. So directly inside of the quote, in the project, or inside of a quote template in company settings if you want to reuse it across multiple projects, if that's something that you do. So here's the process for a quote. We're going to go back to our dashboard here and on our boards page specifically. And I'm going to go find my test project for subscriptions, which is right here under creating quote stage for me. And you'll just navigate to whatever project you need to add a subscription to. Open the project and click on the quotes tab. I have an example already preloaded in here, so I'm going to just click edit, but you would create a new quote if that was something that you were doing from scratch right now. Going to go ahead and click edit. And then inside this, I'm going to click add page, which is right here at the top. And I'm going to choose from scratch. So I'll show you how we do this. Since we're building this subscription page fresh, you've already set one up in a quote template via company settings. You could have chosen from a template, but I'm going to just do this from scratch. The page type is going to be option. And you can also select add-on, but we're going to cover option here. And then you're going to set the subtype as a subscription. So now, right now, it's defaulting to one-time payment. I'm sure you're all used to, if you're using ProLine, used to options, but we're going to go to subscription for this. And then you can choose your structure and add and name the page. Since I have this preloaded, I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here. Really quick, I do want to cover what the difference is on an option and add-on. So in an option page, that means the customer must choose the subscription when signing the quote for it to activate. An add-on means the subscription is optional, so the customer can choose to include it or skip it. This is more an upsell, an add-on page. If you want to think about it like that, this is something that you can add on as part of this service moving forward if they would like. Okay, so once we've added the new page, which I have, you're going to click on the page to configure the subscription settings. And this is where you'll define how the recurring service is going to work for your customer. So here's my quarterly maintenance plan. You can upload a banner image, which I have here. And this is what the customer is going to see when they're reviewing the quote. So keep it clear and straightforward. For example, here's our description, very simple. Our quarterly roof maintenance plan gives you 4 roof checkups each year. We inspect your roof, clear debris, and check drains and gutters, look at seals and flashing, and this helps keep your roof in good shape and help you avoid a bigger repair cost later. You can also set here how often the service repeats. For example, every 1 month, and I have this one set for every quarter, but you can do every day, week, month, quarter, or year. And you can choose intervals with the numerical field here. And then you choose the start date, 7 days after the quote is signed, is where I have this set. This just gives you time to prepare before the first appointment. When does this end? I'm sure you're probably used to your calendar having recurring events, so very similar. When does it start and when does it end? This recurrence is going to end after 4 occurrences. So 1 year, once per quarter, will end, or you could choose a set date or until it is canceled. So, meaning it continues indefinitely until your team or the customer actually stops this service. When it's cancelable, you can say can be canceled at any time by the customer. Or no, it cannot be it can only be canceled by a member of my team. And that's just gonna depend on what type of service this is, of course. So, if it's a locked-in contract, you're gonna not allow them to cancel it, only a member of your team can cancel it, and if it's cancel anytime, you can do that through the project portal, which we will cover soon. And then you're gonna wanna choose how much you charge. So configure what to charge. For our quarterly example, we'll set this to, I want to charge $149 per occurrence, which comes out to $596 for the year. And then I'll set whether to charge before or after the event date. So, for example, I can charge 1 day before the event and it creates and processes the invoice a day before the service. Or you could choose to do it 1 day after the event. You can also say, I don't want to charge the customer. It's there. If the subscription is service only with no payment attached, that could be a good option. So maybe they've already paid for this as part of the roof replacement up front. And so this is just a way for you to track this from an event perspective and an assignee perspective, but you don't actually want to charge the customer. You just want to let them know that you're coming out or that you did come out. Then you could still use this and just say, I don't want to charge the customer for this. We're working in a test environment. Let me just I do not want to charge the customer so I don't have to process a fake payment in here too. Important note though, discounts from the quote do not apply to subscription payments. So service taxes and just service taxes will be added on top, of course, if you collect service tax. Okay, finally, events. Decide whether to create calendar events for each occurrence. So, for example, we'll turn this on. I have this on here. And then you're going to create a subscription event 60-minute event sometime in the morning and assign it to myself. Oh, okay. So we're fully configured. Let's just finish building the rest of the quote as normal, add pricing, line items, any other pages, and we're just going to send this off to the customer. So when the customer receives a quote, reviews the subscription details, at the payment method step, they would normally enter billing information. So since I said I don't want to charge the customer, I'm gonna close this out and then I can show you what this looks like. This is what this test subscription looks like. Let's let it load up. So a real subscription is going to have a way for them to enter a card to be charged at these regular intervals. When they sign and select the subscription add-on, the subscription becomes active and the first few occurrences are scheduled automatically. So for this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and sign this test quote and then see what the experience looks like from the customer side. Here's my maintenance plan here. It says no recurring payments. And then sign now, quarterly maintenance plan. Again, no charge here, so I'm not going to ask too many questions. I'm just going to go through and sign. Beautiful signature. I agree, and I'm signing. Okay. Once the subscription is active, ProLine takes over the management of this cycle automatically. So here's what the system does behind the scenes. It's going to create up to 30 occurrences and scheduled up to 12 months in advance. It schedules and assigns events within the upcoming 30 days. Events beyond 30 days are scheduled as they get closer. So that way, this is scheduled around things happening on your calendar already each month. Um, so here, you could take a look. I've got my signature there. All right, close this guy out. It is signed. Um, Here's my event for the one that's in the next 30 days. So I have one here for Tuesday, April 14th at 9 a.m. It went ahead and grabbed that time because I said just grab first available in the morning. 7 days from now with the subscription. So let me see. You've got the subscriptions tab up here. This is going to show if there's a subscription on this account, it's going to show here. I can click on it, review all of the upcoming dates. I can, let's see. I can cancel it. I can cancel one event. I can cancel the subscription. I can review the configuration that I have here. Um, I can click here and reschedule. If I choose, let's choose this one. So I can actually reschedule this if I didn't like the time that it gave me, reassign it, and so on. Customers can view everything through the projects portal. That's the self-service link that they receive when the quote is signed, which is up here. If they have a subscription, they're going to see this subscription bubble and be able to view the upcoming events and payments if there was any on here. Well, we don't have any for this person. They can change their payment method at any time, pay invoices directly, check payment statuses, view receipts after successful payments. To change a payment method, the customer goes to the subscription tab in here, just like this, and then they'll click their subscription and then choose change payment method. Super simple. Your team cannot update the payment method on their behalf. Only the customer can do that through the portal. And then after each successful payment, the customer gets that email receipt immediately and you receive a payment notification. The invoice updates to paid and the note is added to the project automatically. Now let's cover what happens when a payment doesn't go through because it will happen. And it's important to understand how ProLine's going to handle that for you. So we have an automatic retry system for failed subscription payments. And here is the schedule. 3 days after the initial failure, we'll retry the payment. 7 days after the initial failure, we will retry the payment again if it didn't go through the second time. If it doesn't go through the third time, we're going to try again on the 11th and 14 days. After each retry, the system attempts the payment again and sends the customer an email just letting them know that they need to update their payment method in the portal. And then customers, they don't have to wait for the automatic retry. They can just log in the portal and go to subscriptions and pay now to retry immediately or update the payment method. If the payment still hasn't gone through after 4 tries, the subscription is going to automatically cancel. And here's the critical thing about this to understand. A canceled subscription cannot be reactivated. Once it's canceled, whether your team, the customer, or due to failed payments, you would need to create a new subscription page for this customer to sign and restart the service. And this is why it's worth proactively educating your customers about keeping their payment method up to date. And again, there's communications going out to them this whole time, letting them know what's going on. So, well, let's just talk about a few best practices before we close up. So you're going to enable the feature in the beta section. So, menu, company settings, new features. Use a dedicated event type for subscriptions to avoid triggering unintended workflows. Align your charge time with your cash flow. We did not cover this, but charging one day before the event means payment is collected before you arrive on site. Set cancellation policies intentionally. So use customer cancelable for flexible agreements and then team only for locked contracts. Monitor the subscription tab regularly to catch failed payments early, and then communicate clearly with customers before they sign. Make sure they understand the billing schedule, recurrence, and what happens if a payment fails. And always remind them they can manage everything through the project portal. So, subscriptions automate the entire recurring service cycle in ProLine. Once a customer signs a quote and provides a payment method, the system handles invoicing, event scheduling, team assignment, and payment collection automatically. That's a mouthful. And some key things to remember: enable the beta in company settings. We just went over that. Configure the recurrence, billing time, and event creation to match your business practices. And then customers manage the payment completely on their own. This is for safety and security of your customers and their payment methods. They'll manage that through the project portal. And failed payments trigger automatic retries over 14 days, and then they cancel. And this is just built to save your team some time, repetitive admin work while you delivering a professional and seamless experience for your customers. So thank you so much for joining office hours today. I really appreciate your time, and I will see you next week.